Right, good morning, Year 6. So today's lesson, we are learning to find the area of a shape. Now, this is something that you might have done in Year 5. It could have been something that could have been disrupted though due to you missing the end of Year 5, finding the area of a shape. And it's quite similar to what we've been doing with finding the perimeter of the shape. The area though of the shape concentrates a little bit more on the inside of the shape. When we looked at the perimeter, it was the distance around the edge of a shape. The area is looking at the inside of the shape, and it's quite a useful tool to be able to do. So if we have this shape here, we have a rectangle. An area is essentially the number of squares in a shape. So that is essentially what area is. Perimeter is the distance around the edge of a shape. Area is the number of squares in a shape. Now you can see that I've already drawn this here, and we could actually just count the number of squares in here, couldn't we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So the number of squares within this shape, within this rectangle, there are 15 of them in there. Now, a way that we could have worked this out. Now, this isn't drawn to scale. I do have a ruler here, and you can see here if I do that there, it's not going across 5 centimetres or inches or metres at all. So let's assume that this is 3 going down. So let's say that is 3 centimetres. And going across, we've got 5, haven't we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if that was 5 centimetres. Now if I asked you to find the area of this shape, we've just counted, haven't we, the number of squares. So we know that is 15 centimetres. Now, where it differs from perimeter will be adding up all the edges. Area, the number of squares within a shape, remembering that. So remembering that is the number of squares within a shape, we know there are 15 of them. And when we talk about squared numbers, we talk about having the number with this little 2 next to it, don't we? So if we were to write this answer, we would write 15 centimetres squared, because it's essentially saying that there are 15 centimetre squares within this shape. So it's 15 centimetres squared. That's how we would work that out to get to the answer of that. Now, we could have, not all shapes that we have will have these squares drawn on for you. So just think for a minute, how could we get this answer here, 15 centimetres squared, if we just had this information and that information? What could we have done rather than having all these squares and me adding those up? Hopefully you've realised that if you multiply 5 by 3, that gets you to 15, because there are 5 across here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there are 3 across here. So it is these 5, 1, 2, 3, 3 times 5, 10, 15 to get to 15 centimetres squared. So finding the area of the shape, the number of squares in a shape, it is multiplying the length by the height, and it's in centimetres. So we write in centimetres, and this time, the only difference this time is we're writing squared, because it's the number of squares within a shape. So if we were to have a look at another one now. Now, let's count how many squares there are across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. And this time, let's say it's metres. So there's someone's got a garden that is 9 metres across. How many metres up is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 6 metres up. And imagine that you wanted to get some grass for your garden, and you wanted to know how much grass you needed to order for your garden. Exactly how much you wanted to go to get some rows of grass to put in your garden. How much would you need to order? So the way to work this out would be to multiply 9 by 6. We know our 6 times tables, we know our 9 times tables, so it would be 54. The measurement is in metres this time, not centimetres, so it would be 54 metres squared. We've multiplied the length by the height, 54 metres squared. Now, all these squares here, quite a few squares here. Now I could go through and count every single one. I guarantee you that there will be 54 within here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. So we've got our 54 squares there, because 9 times 6 is 54. And it was far more straightforward and efficient to just multiply the length by the height, and it tells us how many squares there are within this shape. Now, quite often you will get questions like this to find out the area of this shape. Remember, the area is the number of squares within the shape, and you get it without the squares on. Most of the time you have it without the squares on. Now what you could do here, you could draw the squares on. You could do 12 lines down here and then 10 across, but it's quite time consuming to do that. A far easier thing to do is, again, multiply the width by the height. 12 times 10 is 120. The unit of measurement is in metres, and we're writing squared because it was the number of squares in the shape. And if I was to draw this out with the 12 down here and the 10 across here, and I was to count the squares again, just like I did on the one before, we would have 120 squares within there. So you can see that this method here, multiplying the width and the height, is far, far more efficient than doing this method here, where we had to count all of those individual squares. And using our times tables knowledge, we can work out what the answer is. So I'm going to do one for you here, and do you think you could try to work out what the answer to this one would be? So if I had So could you work out the area of that shape for me then, year 6? Now I'm going to pause the video if you want to work that out. Right, so we are multiplying the width by the height. 8 multiplied by 7 is 56. The measurement is in centimetres this time, centimetres squared. Remembering to add this on because it's the number of squares within this shape. Let's have a go at a couple more, and then I will let you have a go at some on the worksheet today. So let's have 11 metres and let's have 9 metres. I'm going to pause the video there, have a go at that. Okay, so multiplying the width by the height, 11 times 9, 99 metres squared. Remembering to add on that squared, that symbol, not making it too big, not making it look like this. Remember, it's got to be raised up off the line and a bit smaller. So that this shape would have 99 squares within it. Right, let's have a go at one more. Let's have a go at, let's make it a big space. 15 kilometres by, let's have 12 kilometres. So just multiplying here, in this case, we're multiplying the width by the height. I'm going to pause the video there, year 6. Okay, so to work this out, it's again just multiplying the width by the height. Now, obviously, this is going to be a bigger number. If we are looking at this, this could be potentially what is the area of somewhere like Stockport, I suppose, would be kind of roughly-ish this size. maybe something like the Heatons or the whole area of Reddish perhaps. So what would the area of that be? We need to multiply them together. Now, if you can't do it in your head, you could just do it like this, couldn't you? 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 1 is 2, add 1 is 3. Next line, let's add a 0. 1 times 5, 1 times 1. Then we add them up. So the area, I put A for area, of this shape is 180 kilometres, because that's what the unit of measurement is, squared. So if I was to draw this shape just like I did with these previous ones, here I would have done 15 lines down here, I would have done 12 across, and I could have counted each dot individually. It would have been very time consuming, but instead we can multiply the width by the height. That's how many squares there are within this shape. And remembering the measurement in this case is kilometres, and then we write squared because it's saying how many squares there are. Okay, then year 6. So all the shapes that you will have today will be similar shapes to this. There'll be rectangles, some will have the squares on, some won't have the squares on. So try your very best of them, work out the area of them, remembering to put the unit of measurement as well as the squared symbol. And tomorrow it'll be slightly trickier. Okay, thanks a lot, year 6.